the time of reckoning is always at this time when we have this foundation. When we have this foundation meet and this forum, I think there are 5-6 things which have been successful this year, and the 5-6 things which haven't been successful. So this is the time for audit, as I say. This is the time for a balance sheet to the people who actually support us, our founders and our sponsors, our people who actually accept us. I think the biggest success really has been that we have engaged much more with people than before. I think there is a quantum, we can talk about it, and the concepts developed by Robin and Saurav on rural futures, both on the field and even in theory, have been absolutely phenomenal. We are in fact failing in the modern aspect of connectivity. If we have failed, I think there are 3 areas where we didn't do well, and on a scale of 10, if we had to rate ourselves, we'll probably get 2 out of 10. One is in the area of our Asian Elephants in the Wild Secretariat. We created a secretariat in the net, in the cloud, but we have not been able to engage enough people in the world to log into it and actually deliver something for people, including any kind of help required. So that is one. The second thing is we haven't succeeded in doing much for elephant country. And elephant country is something that we have worked on tirelessly. We've succeeded and failed. And quite, it's not strange to me. And no criticism of the government, no criticism of anybody, but criticism of individuals for sure. The State Bank of India gave us money to a very small amount of 6 lakhs of rupees. And all of you who don't understand lakhs, that's not even, a small amount. Let's say $10,000. I think to do some help in a project in Kalingwar. Quite strange, they sent an auditor from another town, and this auditor came and made a report. Of the many things in the report that they wrote, one of the report elements was, it wasn't much, the project cost is 1 crore rupees, so we were doing State Bank a favor to participate because I don't see them doing this kind of grassroots work. So we actually did them a favor, which we shouldn't have, as we learn in retrospect. So they found a criticism saying that the bills on the petrol for the motorcycle were not actually from a petrol station. So therefore, that was a big flaw. 2, they found a very big flaw in this, and the person who helped us is Anil Kumar from Axis Bank in the same project. They gave a similar amount to start with. It was built up later. They basically said, why have you put Axis Bank in addition to this? There should not be any partner in this. So that was the second. Third observation, they've insinuated that actually there is a kind of corruption which is there because we have mortality of plants, and that plant mortality is a function of weather, function of people. And it's the first time such a project, if you want to take a project to plant 1 million trees, starting with roughly 300,000, of which I was told yesterday by Robin is 275. So what they did is, they wrote us a letter, they cancelled the grant, they didn't give the money in full because their promise was for a year, and we accordingly employed people, we sourced the seeds, and suddenly they said, no, we can't give you anything because this is not correct. So we asked them what is not correct, and there's more money spent on this exchange of letters. So I wrote to the chairman of State Bank and I called him up and said, why are you wasting so much time to do this? We don't want your money, and if you want the 6 lakhs, we'll give it back because it's too tiring to do this. This is the largest bank possibly in Asia. This is the largest for sure in India. If this is the way that they want to cooperate with people, and now I've heard there's many more such challenges, not just with State Bank, but other banks also, because they're sitting in Bombay, they have no clue of what's happening. To me, this has been a big reversal and a failure of last year. That means we've not been able to educate them to understand what they're really doing. And this is not corporate social responsibility. This is the very purpose of the bank for us. Our very purpose of existence is social dimensioning of our lives, with our people, with society, and with our stakeholders who are people. So they're not, the CSR word has actually corrupted our mind also, because it's corporate social, no, this is your responsibility. The very purpose of setting up any business is to work with society, because you take the money from them finally. So this is completely an erroneous thought, that they're doing us a favor in CSR. So I thought the next step is, let me take it further. So if you really look at this, we've got the courage to actually stand up, because this foundation is built on private money, primarily from a family. It is something that we must be able to take people to task. My idea is State Bank of India should close down, actually, in the whole of the Northeast because of this example. On the contrary, Axis Bank did a fantastic job. They built us on trust. When they have a trustee meeting, they go to the field, they go and show what they do, whether it's in Rajasthan or MP. I think there must be some amount of learning and some amount of challenging of ourselves. So we failed there, because we've upset a big elephant. We failed to educate them, and we failed to actually progress this thing any further. So I just think that, this failure to me is bothering me a lot, so I thought I'd just get it off my chest and share it with friends and to look for advice as to how do we go about and embark on this education process. What is worse, State Bank went and wrote to Axis Bank, asking them for the certificate of how we do. That's worse. As if to say that you're dealing with somebody who's not corrupt. None of those amounts are actually relevant in terms of the impact. They're important because we want banks to be involved, because finally we're talking about natural capital and nature capital and building natural assets from the field, of the field, for the field, So it's not something out of wacko. Third thing, I think we basically have not been able to really create the kind of revolution in terms of back to basics. And Vandana ji is here, she'll talk about back to basics, I'm sure, much more than I'm doing. But one of the things is we took up on an experiment to convert a 100-year-old tea estate into organic. We have lost more money there, because despite the government saying Northeast should be organic, despite the government saying go and do it, we lost 21 crores of rupees. So we've not given up. We have a brand. But we learned a lot as to what sometimes is the impossible. But we're still struggling, it's 10 years, and we're still struggling to actually get back what we want. Problem with this get back is, again, we failed here. Is that how do we convince people that getting back is not better, brighter, faster, cheaper, and bigger? That's the mantra of the world, get better, brighter, faster, cheaper, bigger. So because you don't have your numbers, if you're doing 3,000 kilos of tea from 1 hectare, suddenly it drops to 500. They're alarmed because it doesn't happen, because the whole structure is built on 500. And the whole worker force is built on that. The laws are such that you can't sort of not ask people to change their dimensioning. And as a result, the cost structure is too much higher than what you do. So that's economics which we understand. The reality, however, is that how do we actually approach? The subsidy regimes are not regimes of the future. Farmers are business people. They farmed for decades, from almost much before the revolutions of industrial revolutions of 1700, before the insecticide, pesticides revolution of early 1900, before the IT revolution. So in our journey, what we found is these experiments, there is nobody wanting to listen. That's the worry that I have. Have we, as people who are leading something, been able to convince somebody? No. Do we want a subsidy? No. Do we want somebody to understand that when you go organic fully, this is what happens, and therefore what do we need to do? We have reached out to the whole world, and I think Ranjit and Conrad, you all had a magazine. So it's called Organic Growth. Now, how do you, the best means of growth comes from within. And I think at some point in time we will present it to Vandana because she was really the inspiration. In fact, I think in the first issue, you had written an article for us. You may have forgotten. But when we did this many years ago, you were the inspiration, and that's why we did this. It's called Organic Growth, and we've talked about many good things also, not just only the challenges, because ours is an experiment for society, ours is an experiment for good water, ours is an experiment to detoxify Earth, that's the experiment. Our experiment is not just to make profit. Of course, profit is important, we understand all of that. So I think we've got that second challenge, of not being able to relate with lawmakers and leaders in terms of this challenge or not, this conversion. I think the fourth area of failure is to develop an application. See, everywhere you go, young kids love apps. Where is that one app which kids ourselves can play with and actually sensitize ourselves? A, for learning, and B, to be happy that nature is part of us and that nature is not something of the village. As you see the population grow, the good news about urbanization and ruralization is that in 2050 there's a town that the graph goes down and there'll be more rural people as defined by the planning commission or whatever they call it. There'll be more rural people in 2050 than there will be urban people. Because the urban areas are going bust. We all know that. We all know the challenge of drainage, we all know the challenge of rubbish, we all know the entire toxification of water and all the entire meaning groundwater systems and aquifers we are poisoning. And at a very big peril. In fact, I was in Bombay talking at a forum, forget where it was, but anyway I did. And I was saying that all of us here in Bombay, it's a powerful city, lots of money, lots of concrete, lots of good lifestyle options of the modern day. But here, are we really doing good? And these are questions around the world. I'm not talking about anything new. But I'm saying, if you want to build a city, then you build a road, then you build a, underway, then you build an overpass, then you're layering every city with more and more concrete, instead of just giving a connectivity from the rural areas to a city, if there is a need. And therefore that comes to the dimensioning with which my friend Robin Eastman actually used this term, and I always had a good dig at it, called social mobility. Now, what does social mobility mean? Just simplifying social mobility. All it means is, if the rural area had access to full education, full healthcare, full infrastructure in a way that is beneficial to all, and this benefit of not investing in the city, tripling and doubling, because every time you build a road and an over road and a higher road, you have an even bigger problem, because the per square foot and per kilometer cost goes up by 4 times by the time you reach the 4th level of what we call modernization or renewal missions. We got now renewal missions. And that's why we actually launched last year the Rural Futures. And the Rural Futures concept, which really Saurav and Robin developed in the ground through experimented, if there can be commodity futures, if there can be industrial futures, why isn't there rural futures? I think where we failed is not being able to put it together. I think it's more a lack of, I think we are overcommitting and under-delivering. We've got too many ideas, We have too many ideas. So we're saying 20 things we must do, but actually we're doing only 2, and that 2 not very well. So rural futures has fallen between the cracks, even though we are just taking work that we've done there and putting it in rural futures. The concept of rural futures is really forecasting, taking a village and saying, where will it be in 2050? What are the connectivity and the norms? Otherwise, we're just what I would call, peeing in thunder. Because otherwise, this is too bad. I'm saying what we're doing is it's serious stuff. Unless you get connectivity going, you don't have it. So let's say, and it's not government's fault. Government is us. It's our fault. We have an airport in Desport, built 100 years ago, let's say, 70 years. There was better connectivity with Tezpur than there is today. How can it be that there was a daily flight in 1947 and today there isn't a daily flight? So what is happening is everybody from Arunachal, everybody from North Bank, all drive in 1 million cars, buses and trucks and come to Guwahati instead of getting this aircraft which stuck. So therefore, whether you talk eco-tourism, whether you talk village tourism, whether you talk rural future, we have infrastructure which we don't use, which is the next point that I'm talking. Have we been able to therefore convince ourselves that we have things which we are not using, underutilized assets, then over-exploitation of assets happen. So really the linkages are completely real, and it's for the younger people here and children here to understand that it's not the best time of the world to be here, but you have the best opportunity in the world to change and to be part of this change.